All right, let's jump right in. Today we're talking about something huge, a potential shift in how the internet itself is built. It's this new vision called the architecture of sovereignty. Sounds pretty epic, right? Let's break it down.
So to get started, I want to kick things off with this really powerful, kind of provocative idea. It really sets the stage for everything else. The quote is, "We are living in an era of digital feudalism." Whoa. Okay, so what on earth does that mean?
And here's the breakdown. The whole idea is that the internet we use every day, it's basically become a new kind of feudal system. You've got these giant platforms acting like the new digital lords, and while that makes us, the users, kind of like the serfs, working their digital land. So, let's get specific here. Digital feudalism, it's a system where just a few huge tech companies own pretty much all the digital real estate. We're talking servers, code, the algorithms that decide what you see, and in exchange for what we think is free access, we're actually paying with the two most valuable things we have online, our content and our personal data. That's what fuels their whole economy. And this is the absolute key takeaway. The whole conflict here comes down to one word: ownership. See, in this system, you're not actually the customer. You're the product that's being sold. It means we're all just living in this massive, rent-based digital economy. We pay our rent every single day with our attention and our data, but we never, ever get to own our little plot of digital land.
Okay, so how did we even get here? To really get why this new idea is so important, we got to take a quick look back. The history of the web can pretty much be broken down into 4 big chapters.
This timeline lays it out perfectly. First, you had Web 1. Think of it like a giant read-only library. Static pages, not a lot of interaction. Then came Web 2, which is what's being called read-write feudalism. That's where we are now. We can create content, but we don't own the platform. After that, we had Web 3, right? The big crypto push. It was the first real attempt to fix Web 2, but it got super focused on the financial side, tokens, NFTs, all that, and kind of missed the bigger picture on identity and control. Which naturally leads us to the big idea for the future, Web 4. The goal here is read, write, own, and govern.
And this chart is fantastic because it just lays the power shift out so clearly. Just look at that top row, user role. In Web 1, we were just readers. In Web 2, we became creators, which sounds great, but we were also just tenants. We could build a beautiful house, but we were renting the land it was on. The promise of Web 4? To turn us all into sovereign architects, people who not only build their space, but actually own it. Okay, so let's dig into the promise of Web 4. What's the big idea here? It's really a radical new direction, and it all hinges on one powerful concept: moving every single one of us from being a digital tenant to becoming a digital owner. So according to this way of thinking, the real problem with the internet, the systemic villain, if you will, isn't any one company, it's the middleman. And that could be anything, right? It could be an app store that takes a 30% cut of your earnings. It could be an algorithm that plays gatekeeper, deciding who gets to see your work. Or a platform that holds your audience data hostage. Anything that stands between you and your community and just siphons off value.
So the big question is, how do you get rid of that middleman? Well, the proposed solution is this architecture of sovereignty, and it's basically built on 3 core pillars, 3 key technologies that work together.
All right, let's break them down. Pillar number 1 is all about your identity, using something called a UUID. Pillar 2 is about your audience with a concept they're calling SNaaS, and the third and final pillar is about your truth, and that's a verification system called Source. This first pillar is so easy to understand when you see it like this. We all know the login with Google or login with Facebook buttons, right? Well, in that model, they own the key to your digital life. The Web 4 idea is to replace that with a UIUID, a universal user identity. Think of it like a digital passport that you and only you control. Finally, you own your own key.
Now for the second pillar, SaaS, which stands for Social Network as a Service. This completely flips the script. Instead of just joining some massive existing platform, the idea is that you can launch your own. Any creator, any community can spin up their own fully featured social network. You set the rules. You design the feel. You actually own the community you build.
And this might be the most mind-blowing number in this whole thing. 0%. The platform's take rate? 0. In this SaaS model, when you monetize your work, you keep 100% of it. No 30% cut, no middleman tax. It all goes to you.
And that brings us to the final pillar, Source. This one tackles
I mean, one of the biggest problems we have right now, the truth crisis. With AI and deepfakes everywhere, how can we possibly know what's real? Source is designed to be a system that cryptographically signs a piece of content the very second it's created. It gives you mathematical, verifiable proof of where something came from and that it hasn't been tampered with.
Okay, so let's put it all together. You've got an identity you own, a platform you own, and a way to verify truth. So what does that actually look like? What does it feel like for a user in the real world?
Let's take a scenario that, honestly, happens all the time in the Web2 world we live in now. A journalist, or any creator really, says something the platform doesn't like. They get deplatformed. And just like that, with one flip of a switch by some central authority, their voice is gone. Their work is gone. And worst of all, the audience they spent years building just vanishes.
Okay, now let's hit rewind and play that same exact scenario, but in this new Web4 world. That same journalist gets kicked off a platform. But instead of being silenced, they just launch their own network using SNaaS. And because their audience is connected to them directly through their portable UIDs, not to the platform, everyone can follow them instantly. There's no central choke point that can just sever that connection.
And really, that's what this all comes back to. It's a powerful declaration. The whole idea is that the era of being a tenant, of renting our digital lives from a handful of powerful landlords, that's over. And the era of the owner, well, that's just beginning.
So I'll leave you with the same question this whole concept leaves us with. It's a question for every single person listening. For the past 20 years, we have all poured our creativity, our data, and our time into building these massive digital empires for other people. So the question is pretty simple. Isn't it time we started building our own?